but it came about because I was on a really, really good webinar with Steve Chandler, and he spent a lot of time talking about this. And one of the things that I noticed he did was he spent like pretty much the whole webinar for an hour and a half was spent talking about time and attention. And what I saw in him was he's really giving this topic a lot of time and attention. I wonder why. And it really showed me that you can, I guess there's another message here, is that you can really slow down and spend a lot of time exploring just one thing. And I know I have had a tendency in the past, and possibly still do to some extent, to just try and add as much value as possible. And so it's like there's a whole load of thoughts come to my mind, and it's like I want to get it all out. And actually, if you're on the client's chair, that might not be super helpful. So just seeing how he really slowed it down and spent a good hour and a half with coaches on this one topic was like, there's something here worth talking about for sure. If you're growing a business, if you're deepening your impact, whatever it is that you're looking to do, this is something that would be really helpful to just take some time to consider. Like, how much time and attention am I putting on the thing that I want to grow? Do you have any kind of opening words that you want to say on that, Sam? Or?
Yeah, it really, this whole thing really rings true for me. I mean, when I started out, because I haven't listened to that webinar, but I've heard Steve talk about this before. And it just really rings true for me. When I first started out my practice, I spent loads of time doing all the stuff that actually wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to get. It was great stuff to have along the way. It's just a good supplement, and it's great to have, but it's not actually going to give me what I want to create. And it wasn't, and you know, me and you have already talked to loads of coaches, and we talked to coaches in the past, and we still do lots. And the thing that always comes up for me around it is that often coaches are spending their time, in terms of client creation, they're spending their time doing all the things that don't create clients in the hope that they're going to create clients. Right. And a lot of it is because they're worried about the feelings that are going to come up or whatever else when it comes to actually making client proposals and inviting people to conversations. And it really reminds me of something very similar in personal training, which I used to teach to my clients, which was time under tension. So people would come to me and they would be looking to build muscle, right? Women as well, because the more muscle we build, the more we can eat, win-win. And what I would used to get into when I first started working with them, so I'm like, right, let's do some press ups. It'll be like this, right? I'm gonna get them done, right? So like, I've done 20 press ups. Sam, look at them, they're like this, like all over the fucking place. They're doing these press ups, right?
Am I doing my press ups wrong?
Yes,
what's wrong with that?
I didn't mention names. and the point being is that they spent as little time as possible doing this task that they thought was going to get them where they wanted to get. But what they were missing was that muscles only grow when they have time under tension. So giving them that extra time under tension and that focus helps them to grow. So your time becomes way more efficient. And so they would spend their whole lives doing diets and all these other things, which are wholly ineffective if you're not getting what you really need to do, if you're not doing that properly, if you're not really focusing on it and slowing down, spending time in that space, allowing things to grow. And it really reminds me of this, which is, you know, now when I think about my practice, honestly, the only thing that I actually spend time doing is creating conversations. That's really it. I don't really touch my website, my group. I use a lot, but again, I don't spend a whole lot of time doing. But I'm always looking for people to serve, right? It's kind of like, who can I serve? And I know that the only thing that's important to me is to coach, to create impact. And I can't do that if I'm spending all my time doing other things. So it's like, what is within awareness is where my attention is at, and that is what gives you experience of life. So it's up to us where that experience, up to us where that attention goes, right? So yeah, it's just being mindful of that, really.
Yeah, I think it's a great analogy, the one with the push-ups, because it's so, like, we really can see that with a gym metaphor. Hey, like if you spend 5 minutes a day on doing push-ups, and that's 5 minutes more than you used to spend, you're going to see a difference.
Yeah.
If you spend, I don't know, 25 minutes on doing them a day, you're going to see more of a difference. So with let's say, like, I know client creation is a hot topic in this group, so I'm going to stick with that. But just know that this principle applies throughout your business, whatever it is you want to do. And with client creation, what I found that I was doing was telling myself that I was spending a lot of time and attention on creating clients, but I was in my head worrying or thinking about it, or I was planning and preparing, but I was not actually in my emails, on the phone, like inviting people into conversation. And now that's what I know is the thing that works. To create clients, you have to be in conversation with someone, you have to be serving them, you have to be demonstrating how you are helping them. And so it just being really strict with yourself and really disciplined about what am I going to count as client creation minutes and what am I not. Because I would tell myself a story that, you know, I was spending all day every day on client creation, nothing else. And I was faffing around in Facebook groups and doing all kinds of shit that meant I wouldn't have to reach out to somebody. And when I got really clear on what do I want those minutes to look like being really strict with myself. And it is about honesty. It's about, I want to know what's going on in my business to see what's working and what's not working. And so if I'm telling myself I'm spending 24/7 creating clients and I'm not getting clients, then there's going to be some ill feeling there. I'm probably going to feel like I don't know why it's not working and all the rest. Whereas when I get really clear on, oh no, I've spent 6 hours sitting at my computer, not actually achieving anything because I've been caught up in there worrying, overthinking, can't reach out to that person, that feels icky, whatever it is. That's not client creation minutes. So now I'm really strict with myself and I don't count that shit. So it basically is any kind of message that I send to somebody to invite them into a conversation, I consider client creation, like with an intention to see if I can be helpful in some way. And it might not be that my agenda is any more than just to be helpful in some way. So I'm not going, I want to create that person as a client, but it's knowing that clients come from service. So anytime I reach out to somebody to say, hey, let's connect, love to know what's going on in your world, love to know if I can be of any help, that counts.
Yeah.
And any conversations that I'm in with people who are not yet clients, that counts. And I'm on the fence as to whether I count current clients that I have got who might be coming to the end of a program and potentially wanting to renew. At the moment, I don't count them. And I'm tempted to, because again, it would like bump up my minutes, but it's like, that's not really being honest with myself. So I like to log that. And that is what I do. I log that. And I used to do it quite differently. So I used to track everything that I was doing. So I'd have like a schedule from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. And I would literally have half an hour sections. And I would fill in exactly what I was doing within those half an hours. And I realized, God, this is a pain in the ass. Like, it's helpful to see where I'm spending my time and how much time I'm spending on my business, in my business, etc. But it's taking quite a lot of time to actually do this. And it's taking me away from my coaching hours. It's taking me away from client creation. So after this webinar that was on with Steve, he was literally just making it as simple as count those minutes that I just talked about. And that's it, like to the minute, not like it was about 10 minutes-ish. It's like, no, it was 7 minutes writing that email and pressing send. Or it was 64 minutes that I was in that conversation. And then I add them up at the end of each day. And each day I try to do a little bit more. So it's like I challenge myself to do at least a little bit more. And I found that there is a correlation between, and he talked about this as well, so it's not just my experience, it's much broader than that. It's like there's a correlation between the more time I spend on this, more clients I have.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So it's so if you're without clients, you really get into that honesty with yourself around how many minutes am I spending on those two things, like invitations and conversations. How many minutes am I actually spending doing that? There's various different things that you can track if you want to, but for me, just keeping it as simple as possible has been quite helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was worth sharing because I mean he spent a lot of time on this, and he had a lot of questions around, would you track this, or what about this, and you know, his stance was really just making it about those direct conversations and invitations, and really keeping it as clean as that.
Yeah. Yeah, when I listened to something similar, it wasn't that, but it was very similar. What I heard was just, you know, making that your, if you want something, make that your focus, right? It's like, if you really want to create clients, do what you need to do to create clients and make that your focus. And for me, I think that what's worked, I don't know if it's really what worked, is I've stopped trying to create clients. I think we talked about that earlier, didn't we, with somebody, and just stop trying to create clients. And I loved what you said, such an important distinction around, I go into conversations knowing that service creates clients. I don't create clients. Service creates clients. Experience creates clients. And that's such an important, it's such a small, but such an important distinction to make. Because if we go into a conversation just with the mindset of, I am going to serve you, like if that is the only thing that's within within attention, within, you spend all of our time doing that, we're going to create clients. There's absolutely no way that we won't. And you know, when I look up at my board, it wasn't even a board, it's just literally a wall with yellow sticky labels, like these all over my wall. And we've talked about this before, and it's a bit of a laugh really, but it's just covered with people that I just love to serve, because I've had conversation with them. I genuinely believe I can serve them. So now that's where when I'm working, that's all I'm spending my time doing. Like, that is where my attention is, service. And I spend my time serving these people. And they slowly, interestingly move from never met them to, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, there's potential for a conversation. Oh, let's have another coaching session. They just sort of move along. And that's all it's really taken. It's not a rocket science. And I certainly haven't needed to use my website or anything. But the other thing I think that was worth talking about, you know, for me, I was thinking about this earlier as I was walking to the shops, like sitting this sort of walking, thinking, what can I bring to the table? And another word for attention to me is actually who we are. It's an awareness, right? We're not the content of attention. We are attention itself, or awareness itself. I think when we identify with the content, we get too caught up in the feelings and what's going on, what do we do, and it creates confusion. But knowing that we are the awareness itself, it's kind of like, for me, it's being really selective with actually what do I want to focus on here. Like, this isn't serving me. So say, for example, you're having a shitty day and you're thinking, God, I really just haven't got enough clients, I want to make some money, or, oh, I'm just not a very good coach, and all those sorts of things that creep in sometimes. Nothing wrong with that. You're not the content of your awareness. But on the same token, it's like, well, what would be useful right now? Well, instead, not to fix, but actually, is there some truth in this? And what would be useful for me to do right now? Who can I serve today? One person. You know, wake up in the morning, serve one person a day, and you'll create clients.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's sometimes the hardest part is just starting. So yeah. I can't say that I bounce out of bed every day and like, who can I serve? Like, rarely that happens. But I see myself about to make something more than it needs to be, about to like overthink and feel like, oh, this is going to be heavy, or oh, emails are boring, or creating some kind of story in my head. And actually, when I just catch that that's what I'm doing, and I just go and break it down and be like, who's the first person that I want to speak to? Who's the first person that I want to reach out to? Who's someone who I would love to work with that I think, you know, would really benefit from something that I'm doing? And it is just, it's you don't need to feel motivated to start. You can feel heavy, you can feel flat. And when you chunk it down and just really connect with what you're doing, that's the difference for me. There's an inner shift where I can be feeling flat 1 minute, and then I can just almost like have a word with myself, not in a battle of wills kind of way, but just really see that all I'm doing is creating a story right now.
Yeah.
And actually, what's the tiniest thing to do is just open up a spreadsheet with some names on it, pick a name and get in touch. And it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. And that could be like, oh, there's 6 minutes. And then you put 6 minutes in your log. And then before you're off, you're kind of like, oh, who else do I want to talk to? Who else would be fun to have a conversation with? I wonder what they're doing. So again, it's not making it this big thing. Like if I was like, oh shit, I did 150 minutes yesterday, I need to do 152. That might feel quite heavy until I really connect with what I'm doing and step into that place of like, oh, I love having conversations. I love creating help. I love doing all of this and connecting with the purpose doesn't feel like quite the right word, but it is, I suppose, in a way.
Yeah, you're right. And you sort of touched on something there that's personal to me in terms of like, that's really important for me, for people to understand, which is around this idea that, I was talking to a client today actually, and she's going through a lot and she's feeling really stressed and really anxious. She's just like, I just can't do it. Right. That was in her attention was on that story. I can't do it. So I just lovingly, I just said, give me a time in your life and give me an example of when your experience has shown you that a feeling is truly limiting. Like, tell me when a time in your life where a feeling has been truly limiting. And of course you couldn't tell me. It might always seem that they're limiting, but it's not, and that's, again, where our attention goes and where we spend the time. We forget that actually we get to question this stuff. And what was really interesting was that from that conversation, she could just move into whatever practical things she wanted to do with that feeling. She didn't have to be separate from it. Sometimes, if I'm honest, I actually coach better in that space because I seriously don't give a shit and I don't care what I say. I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm not buying it. I'm not really feeling this today, so you're going to get it. And some of my clients really appreciate that. And they've had some really amazing sessions. So yeah, I know that's slightly off topic to a degree, but I think it's definitely worth just bringing up quickly. We maybe talk about more at some other point, but just around that, not letting these things mean anything more than they, which is all they are.
Yeah, and I think it's bang on topic, Sam, because it's like we said at the beginning, this is a principle that applies everywhere. So whether it's on, the external stuff that you're doing around creating clients, writing invitations, being in conversation, or whether you're giving attention to really like shitty ass thoughts in your head that are keeping you feeling really heavy and down, flat. It's the exact same thing. If you spend a lot of time and attention taking those seriously, you can't expect your motivation levels to change.
No.
Whereas if you don't give that so much time and attention, then naturally you will go back to a space where you're feeling more inspired. So in a way, it is totally bang on topic because it's just an internal version of what we're talking about externally.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings us back to what we were talking about. I think it was last week or the week before, doesn't it? How, are we spending that time thinking, or the time and attention thinking about, we're talking about commitment, about newness, about, is our time and attention on new experience and uncertainty, possibility, newness, excitement, challenge, or is it more towards the kind of old way of working, the fears, the limitations, the conditionings? Because I can tell everyone right now that they're never going to get anywhere with focusing solely on that. It just doesn't work. You're going to get, and like we said earlier, where attention goes, energy flows. You're just going to get more of the same shit. And at some point, it doesn't matter, if you're upping your prices or inviting somebody to a conversation, if you don't feel comfortable with it, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. You don't have to feel comfortable with it. That's the whole point. When have we ever done anything new and felt comfortable with it? But remember how it feels afterwards, right? It's like, yeah, I can do this. And all of a sudden you think, shit, man, I'm way too cheap. And so it goes, right? So it's so important to normalize that. Like, it's so important. It's such a simple thing, but it's so important to normalize it, because that for me is where most people get really stuck. And that is why their time and attention goes back to the stuff that doesn't actually serve them, because it's safe.
Yeah.
It feels like they're being productive, but they know deep down, they may not even be aware of it, but there's an awareness there that it isn't actually helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me, I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. For me, there's like two key points are coming through, and it is like, with your time and attention, how much time and attention are you spending on the worry and the fear and the what ifs and catastrophizing and all of that stuff, versus how much time and attention are you spending in the possibility space? So like that's internal. And then in the external, just get really fucking real with yourselves about where your time and attention is going, because that is going to give you so many clues as to how your success is going to look over the next few weeks, months, years. Like that really is going to be, all the clues will be in that log for you. If creating clients is your thing, put your time and attention there. If deepening your impact is your thing, put your time and attention there. You know, if creating space is your thing, put your time and attention there. How much time and attention are you giving to saying like yes to everything? How much time and attention are you giving to finding some space for yourself? So it's exactly the same thing. And if when you look at it and you go, shit, I'm actually not spending enough time and attention, reach out to us and we can help you refocus or reprioritize. For me, it was as simple as just seeing it, like seeing, oh, I have no minutes to put on this page today, so that needs to change. Tomorrow is going to be different. How do I get some minutes on there? Who do I want to talk to? Who do I want to connect to? And it was really as simple as making it my priority, seeing that it wasn't, seeing that I was telling myself it was, but it wasn't. And then just doing something with that, and literally being like, do you know what, that group that page that I was about to create and get all caught up in, I need to have the script right, and I need to know what I'm doing, and I need to understand whether I'm going to do lives or what the content is so that I can tell people what it's going to be about. I dropped all of that noise and I just started calling people and saying, hey, I've just finished a group, I'm going to do another one. You know, I don't know if there's going to be a Facebook support group. There might be. If there is, then I'll let you know. But right now, here's what it looks like. How does that sound? Do you want to be a part of it? And just not having to have everything ready first just made me, it was like I had an insight that there's not enough time and attention on creating conversations. So I'm gonna do that first. And then if I've got time left over in my day, I'll do the other stuff. And that was it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And there's one other thing I was going to say as well. I can't remember what it was. It was obviously really important.
It's probably going to be the best thing you were going to say.
Oh no! Do you know what? It was something that came to mind. I think it may be what me and you were talking about, or maybe I even dreamt it. I mean, I've got really overactive imagination.
Don't dream about me, Sam. I'm uncomfortable with that.
I shouldn't have told you, should I really? Most nights. But what was really came up for me was, imagine what your life would look like imagine what your coaching practice would look like if you solely spent your time and attention seeking a no, like actively seeking people to say no to you. So you're asking bold questions, inviting people that you know are going to say no to conversations, and having fun with actively seeking a no. Like, imagine what would happen to your coaching practice if that was your time. Not on the yeses where it's safe, but on the no's where you're going to get these incredible insights and changes and people saying yes to you because actually you're much better than you think you are, or whatever. And I would love to just play with this idea with people, that just even a bit of their time is spent on actively seeking no's.
Yeah, I think we did talk about this. There were other coaches that have played this like service game. So like set themselves, I don't know, a 90-day service game. And when they looked at what was holding them back, it was like, oh, I have a real fear about getting a no. And that's going to hold me back. So it was exactly what you're saying. Say, come from a space of you can only get no's. Like, you need to serve like you can only get no's. So when you're not expecting anything other than a no, and you're just going to serve anyway, it's like it takes away the fear because you're actually going for the no. Like, a no can't hurt me anymore because that's the game I'm playing. So it's not to say serve at a shit level because you want to get a no, but it's like removing the fear of a no.
Yeah, and kind of serving from a place of, I know this is going to be a no, so I'm just going to say what it is that's on my mind. Because if I was seeking clients, then I wouldn't say it because I'm kind of maybe a bit pleasy around it. So yeah, I'm just going to be as shit as I possibly can, so I definitely get a no and then hang up. But Yeah, I'm hoping people wouldn't assume
So
that's what I
good
was thinking.
distinction. Never assume, remember, never assume is a good distinction to
Yeah, well, we're in danger if I'm not allowed to assume that, aren't we, really? But yeah, I think that's just something to have a play with for sure.
Cool. I think that's all from me. It's been fun. I've enjoyed this one tonight.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't figured out the screen, so I can't see if we've got comments or anything.
Do you know how to shut the screen down? That's the question.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Oh yeah, I do. I've got an arrow that says stop live stream.
There's one comment.
What's our comment? Is it a question?
I can't read it because I'm a techno noob. Oh, here we go. Oh, you are live. Thanks, Rebecca.
Amazing.
Legend.
Well, I think that's one step up from an automatic Facebook notification telling us we're live, which is what I originally thought you meant when you said that.
Exactly, and it's better than you are shit. Although to be fair, I think because it's still technically live, it's playing back through the comments that posted at that time, so we won't get comments until
so we might still have some of those ones.
And now I've got two of you on screen and it's just too much
of me. Right, okay, well I'm gonna sign out. So yeah, let us know if you've got any questions, if you want some help working out what goes in the log or what doesn't go in the log. Just let us know how we can serve you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Bye.